Hi YouTube, I'm Neil. This is my FeelFree Lure 11.5. I'm going to do a little walkthrough, and as you can see, it's in the blue camo color scheme. As we approach the rear of the boat, show my cooler, my crate, and this is my camera pole I made. And we'll get into each one of these as we progress through the video. Okay, first of all, this is the trolley system I set up. It is one I purchased from Bass Pro. Kind of modified it a little bit. I didn't set it up per their instructions. As you can see, I put a pad eye and then a carabiner and then the pulley. I tied the rope through that, put a couple of pad eyes along the boat to help keep the rope above the water or above, and keep the rope from climbing up onto the top. And there's the front pulley. Now, if you don't know anything about kayaks or anchoring a boat in water, I've had a little bit of experience from John boats. You don't want to anchor in the middle of the boat, especially in river systems or creeks. If you get sideways, it could pull you under. You always want, with the trolley, what I like about it is you can run the anchor to the front of the boat or to the rear, depending upon which direction you want to fish and which direction the wind is blowing. So that's the trolley system. Really neat. It worked great when I took it out about a week ago. Now, what I like about this model is what I like and dislike, let's put it that way, is the what they call the power console, or the power pod. It houses your Lowrance or your depth finder. I have a 12-volt lead acid battery or lead gel cell battery. I also have a couple of tools and whatnots inside. I'll show you that in a minute. When I first took the boat out, I had the transducer mounted through a scupper hole. Had all the wire coiled up in a corner here because I didn't know exactly how this was going to work. Well, through the scupper, the transducer worked beautifully. The only problem is the big coil of wire. I had to do something with it. If I was going to use the transducer or use the scupper to mount the transducer, I would have had to have run the wire in here, coil it up inside the hatch, and then back out to the depth finder. Well, that would have been nice and neat, but it would defeat the purpose of having this removable. So this is very handy of taking out of the boat and lightening the load considerably, because I take the boat on the table. I built this table specifically for putting the boat in my truck. It's at the same height as the bed of my truck, plus it's on wheels. And then I move the boat over to a hoist I have on the ceiling, a set of pulleys. So the table works out great. So I take everything out of the boat because it's easy to maneuver or lift it to the ceiling. That makes it a lot lighter. The boat weighs about 78 pounds with the seat in and a lot less without, so it lightens the boat up quite a bit. I've got shelves made that I store everything on when they're not on the boat. So the thing is, with the power pod, it works really good to have the transducer mounted on the bottom, but it poses a problem. When you go to set it down on a table, you can't set it up right. You have to lay it down, and that takes up a lot of room. So I came up with this little device, or this little box. I can set the power pod there and store it upright, and I just throw a towel or something over to keep dust off of it. Now let's have a look inside I'll show you how I wired it up. Now the biggest problem I had is this blasted cable for the transducer is like 15 feet long. So I just, as I brought it in through the box, they've got really nice little plugs. They're not completely waterproof. Have a nice little plug that you run your cable through to help keep water out. Run it into the box, tied it off with plastic tie wraps with the power cord. Then I coiled everything up and stuck it in this lid. It's kind of hollow, so I just crammed it in there as much as possible. So that allowed me to keep a few tools in here, some rope, and a respooling device for my rod and reels. Show you what I did here. I soldered the basic, or these lugs to the battery, keep them from pulling off, and then I have these spade connectors for quick and easy disconnect in case I have to change out the battery or whatever reason. I also have a charger cord, and then I cover it with this foam to keep anything from shorting the battery out. So that makes for a really neat installation, and everything clips back into place, and then all is well. So that solved that. Now I've got the entire unit in one easily carry and storable unit. And as you can see, you have a hole in the boat when you remove the power pod, but it causes no problems, of course. Now onto the seat. Whether you've seen these or not, this is what really sold me on the Kayak. It's a great feature, but then again, I'm kind of ticked about it. All you have to do is raise it up and to about 10 different settings you have for comfort while you're fishing from the Kayak, okay? You pull on this and it goes down. Okay, that's nice. Very nice. The seat's pretty heavy. Also, you can take the seat out, remove it from the boat, from the Kayak, and put it on a bank and sit on it and fish from the bank if you want to, or just have a shore lunch while sitting in a chair. Now, these cushions, or these pockets rather, on each side are pretty much worthless. You can store the very basic minimum in them, because when you lower this, if they stick out at all, for example, these tackle boxes, they're going to be pushed out and fall into the water, and that really aggravates me, because you like to have things accessible without having to reach in your crate every time you need a hook or a bobber or a sinker or whatever. Now, another thing are these handy indentations on the side, which I think were made specifically for the Plano 3540. And I bought them specifically for this. As you can see, they don't go all the way into the unit or all the way into the slot, because the chair, the bottom of the frame, is in the way. And if you did get them in, when you raise the chair, it would pop them out and it would fall into the water. So feel free. Come on, get your act together. All you have to do is recess these a little deeper into the boat. Would have been no problem, no issue whatsoever, and had plenty of room. Same thing with these stupid cup holders. Look at that. They're a cup holder, but they're useless because the frame hits whatever you put in them, the bottles or a can or whatever. If you raise it, it's going to dump it right into the water. Okay, that's a couple of issues I really didn't like about the boat. I love the chair, but let's fix it. Let's fix these minor details, or major details in my book. Now, the second thing is this, what you call your stakeout pole. All right, I'm calling it stakeout pole / lure retriever. If I can get this thing to work as a stakeout pole without cutting this off and without sharpening this, then great. It'll work great for me because it'll have a multi-purpose, and I like things multi-purpose. Now, this thing will extend, it's aluminum, and it extends out almost 8 feet. Got it at Walmart for 15 bucks. About anywhere else, they're like $30, so it's a good deal. If this thing works out as that, then perfect. If it don't, I'll still use it as a lure retriever regardless. I have my anchor trolley, so I'm not worried about anchoring somewhere. And I also have a brush clip. I'll show you later in my crate. So this is a nice, handy little device. One way or the other, I'll make use of it. Let's see, on to the Scottie Mount. As you can see, the FeelFree has a unique rail system. I wish they'd get their act together and everybody come up with the same mounting. I had to order special nuts or mounting kit for the FeelFree. Now, I don't know if that's true with Jackson and Hobie and all these others, if they have their own, but that's aggravating. Let's get something that works with all of them. So when I buy a Scottie Mount, it'll fit on this boat, or it'll fit on a Hobie or a Jackson. You know, let's get our act together. So anyway, they work good. I got this kit in from, I think, Kayak Gear. It's about 20 bucks. It's terrible for just a few screws and a couple of nuts that go on a rail. Now over here I've got my paddle. Put a measuring tape on it. Got that at Walmart for about $2.50. And I got a tie-down strap or a leash. Made this out of weed eater string. Wrap it around a stick, put it in boiling water. There's videos on YouTube for that. Have this neat little collapsible net. Handy. Put it in one of the rod holders. Set my crate. Room for my cooler. This is my camera pole. I made it from a carbon fiber tube. I got the tube out of I had a model airplane. This was the wing support tube. No longer have the airplane, but I kept the tube. And here, from here up is a tripod leg. Came off of an old Focus tripod I got at Kmart years ago. No longer use it, so I cut the leg off. In the very end of the leg, there's a large metal cap. I drilled and tapped them and put these bolts in to hold it in place. Shrink tubing here to keep water from getting in. And then, of course, you have three segment of legs that are adjustable. And there's my GoPro mount, which that isn't a GoPro. That is an SJ cam. SJ4000. That's what I'm using to record right now. It's a GoPro clone. It works great, by the way. Got it from Amazon for about 58 bucks. Okay, look at the crate. Now, when I first went out, all I had was just a lid. I bought this off of a, kind of a Sterilite container at Walmart for like $4, and all I cared about is the lid. Well, I had to cut the lid to make it fit. Well, while I was out on the lake, the lid kept falling off. I wanted to blow off into water. So I had to modify the crate just a little bit. I cut the lid into and put the hinges in. Also, I weighted the lid down with wood, and I put some metal strips on the hinge where the hinge is bolted to in order to keep it from caving in. And then I've got this grommet, or small grommet, and a bungee to hold that down and keep everything from falling out in case I capsize the kayak. As you can see, I keep regular plain old tackle boxes. I've got about 4 of them. I've got my crankbaits, frogs, lizards, spinner baits, whatnot here. These boxes I bought specifically go here, which I don't know what I'm going to do now, 3540s. I keep them out with my hooks, crappie jigs, and floats, stuff like that, just to keep you from having to reach back here all the time. You've always got your hooks available. So I'm going to have to stuff them under the seat or come up with a way to store these. I'll think of something to deal with that. Now in my crate, I keep my anchor system. I saw on YouTube somebody was using a little pull noodle to come up with this concept. And I decided to use that concept for my anchor. Now this is the little 1.5 pound anchor. If I can get it out of the bag. Excuse me. This is a little 1.5 pound anchor. I have a 3 pound rigged up the same way. Now this is just a small float I got at Academy Sports, and it's a eagle claw, I think. I cut it in two and put a hollow tube in the middle, a carabiner, and a bungee cord. Now you can see how this is made using a pool noodle. Instead of pool noodle, I used this foam. It was just like a large float. And this is a release mechanism, and then there's grooves inside here that hold your anchor rope. So then you pull on this and let out all the anchor rope, and then tie it down, and then the anchor rope will stop pulling off the reel. So this is just like a reel. Think of it as a reel, similar to like, you've seen those positioning mechanism buoys that you throw in the water and they unrun. That's similar to that. But anyway, it works really good. I use it to clip on the side or onto the trolley system. Then I let out the anchor, and then I can position this anywhere I want my anchor to be. And then if something happens to where I'm in trouble, I need to get rid of the anchor, as I mentioned before, cut the rope if all else fails. If you got time, just reach down here and flip the carabiner, throw the anchor and the buoy overboard, and then float away from it. And then when you get out of the threat or whatever it is, whether you caught a large fish or anything like that, go back and fetch your anchor. This will float. Okay, so as you can see, everything's laid out really well. I'll show you the hatch. Now, I don't know, I've not had the tip underwater or anything, but it floated dry. Got no water inside the hull whatsoever, so everything floated really well. No leaks. This is a little, 6-pack cooler. I think I got it at Sports Academy for $5 or $6, something like that. And it's got all my plastic lures, zoom worms and lizards. Got a little oil and grease for my reels in case you get out and they get a little squeaky. I got some towels, my life jacket. I've got some spare clothes and one of those space saver bags, my toiletry, and then I got a dry box, one of those outdoor sportsman boxes that you get at Walmart for like $6, $7, or $8. I'll put my wallet and cell phone in that. So, as I said, there's plenty of room now. There's enough room in here if you wanted to put your rods in. You can put a 7-foot long rod in those crevices. It's a little tricky to get in, but you can get them in there. I don't, because I don't want anything banging around on my rod and reels. So I just throw them in the back of the truck. Now, if I was going on a long trip and didn't want nobody to steal them, I'd probably put them in there and come up with some kind of locking system for my hatch. Of course, here's your footrest, adjustable as all. Don't know what else to talk about other than everything fits pretty nice. You can get to the cooler. All you have to do is reach around. Everything's accessible, very stable. I have not yet tried to stand up. The water's still cold here in East Tennessee. I didn't want to take a chance of taking a dip in the lake. So I haven't tried standing up yet, but I will. I feel comfortable. I feel safe that it will be. I fished out of John boats this small, and a lot more dangerous standing up than this. So anyway, that's it in a nutshell. I hope you like it. If you don't have a kayak, do a little research. It took me 2 years. I've been looking longer than 2 years, and I decided on a FeelFree mainly because of the seat. I think if I had to do it all over again, I'd probably look at a different boat maybe, because the seat is nice, but some of these design flaws kind of turn me off a little bit. I still like the boat. Don't get me wrong. It's stable, sound boat. Another thing, too, that I don't like in particularly is this wheel in a keel. Now it's nice, it's convenient, but it's not sturdy, or it's not very stable. As you're rolling the boat down the hill or up the hill, it wants to tilt one way or the other, and if you're not careful, you'll dump all your stuff out on the ramp or on the ground. Sooner or later, I hope to build some kind of trailering system that will work off these two scupper holes in the back and have larger wheels, a wider stance, make it more stable, and plus it helps balance it a lot more. I'll probably maybe put them up here. There's a couple scupper holes here under the seat, probably right there, and that way it gives you better leverage, because with you're lifting the entire weight of this on this tail wheel, and that is a lot. That's very heavy, in fact. So I'll come up with something in the future, and maybe we'll do a video on it. So anyway, I hope you like it. I hope you like the video. Subscribe to my channel and share it. Okay, YouTube, I hope you have a good evening, and get out there and let's do some fishing. See y'all on the lake. So long.